When you think about a banking job, what comes to mind? Probably something stable, right? Kind of quiet. A nice desk, you help a few customers, you go home on time. But there's this whole other side to it, a hidden reality that, honestly, nobody really talks about. And this is the heart of the matter. Everyone tells you, oh, it's a stable government job. Great. But what they conveniently forget to mention is you will be expected to sell every single month. You're not just a banker, you're a salesperson. Look, I'm a working banker. I'm in the trenches every day. So I'm going to give you the real story, the one nobody tells you in the interview. We're going to go through what they say the job is and what it actually is. We'll look at the sales targets for every single product. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into how these sales targets actually work behind the scenes. Then we'll get into the products themselves, the so-called simple sales, like accounts, the really high-stakes stuff, like insurance, and the ones that are just a paperwork nightmare, like loans. And stick with me, because at the end, we're going to talk about the big secret, how to turn all that pressure into a sense of purpose. So, let's pull back the curtain. How do these monthly targets really work? Well, it starts at the top. Every month, the head office sends a massive target down to your branch. Then, the branch manager chops it up and hands out a piece to every single person on the team. And your personal goal? Oh, it's public. It's usually written right there on a whiteboard in the staff room for everyone to see every single day. Yeah, there is absolutely no hiding. And this really sums it all up, doesn't it? The training manual says you're a helpful guide for customers, but the ground reality? It's your monthly scorecard. It's a performance. If you hit your numbers, you're the hero of the morning meeting. But if you miss them, you have to stand up and explain why you failed in front of your entire team. That's just how the system works. Okay, let's start with the so-called simple sells. These are the bread and butter products that are supposed to be the easy wins. Let's talk savings accounts. The theory is, hey, everyone needs a bank account, this should be easy. But the reality? Almost every single person who walks through that door already has 2, maybe 3 accounts. So your job isn't to sell them something they need. It's to convince them to get another one. And then comes the KYC process. The Know Your Customer paperwork. Getting their Aadhaar card, their PAN card, photos, signatures. It can easily take 45 minutes. And if you make one tiny mistake on a form, guess what? You're starting all over again. And it's pretty much the same deal with fixed deposits, or FDs. The idea is that these things sell themselves. I mean, who doesn't love a safe, guaranteed return? But in reality, your customers are smart. They've already been online, they've compared your interest rate with 5 other banks, they walk in ready to negotiate, and when you tell them the rate is non-negotiable, you get that classic look, that polite smile, and the, okay, I'll think about it, and you'll never see them again. All right, now we're getting into the really serious stuff, the high-stakes sells. This is where the job gets complicated. The pressure ratchets up, and honestly, this is where you start facing some real ethical dilemmas. And we have to start with the big one. Life insurance. Believe me when I say this is the product that pretty much every banker dreads selling. Why? Because the targets for insurance premiums are just massive. They're huge, and the pressure to hit those numbers is just relentless. This is where you're really tested. It boils down to a simple question. What's more important to you, hitting your target or earning your customers' trust? Because sometimes you just can't do both. Now don't get me wrong, for the right person, insurance is an amazing, vital product. But the pressure can push you to sell to people who don't need it, and that's a tough spot to be in. So you've really got 2 ways you can go here. Path 1 is the pressured sale. You push hard, you get the sale, you hit your number for the month, but you probably lost that customer's trust for good. Or you can take path 2. You become an honest advisor. You take the time to find the right customer. You explain everything clearly, and you build a real relationship. All the best bankers I've ever met, they always choose path 2. Okay, what about Demat accounts? For investing in the stock market. You'd think with the market always making headlines, this would be a slam dunk. Everyone wants in, right? Wrong. The reality is your average bank customer isn't a trader. They're a risk-averse saver. They trust FDs. They're actually scared of the stock market. You show them a chart of a booming market, and they don't see opportunity. They see a bubble about to pop. All right, let's move on to our next group, what I call the process sells. For these products, the hard part isn't convincing the customer. The real challenge is surviving the absolute mountain of paperwork that comes with it. Let's take credit cards. In training, they make it sound so glamorous. You're selling a lifestyle, rewards, airport lounge access.
But on the ground, you run into 3 giant brick walls. First, there's eligibility. You'll spend an hour getting a customer all excited, you fill out the forms, and rejected. So awkward. Second, for the people who are eligible, they probably already have a better credit card from another bank. And finally, you get this really deep cultural resistance, especially from older customers. They'll look you right in the eye and say, "I just don't believe in living on credit." And what can you say to that?
And then there's the big one, loans. Now, let me be clear. Helping a family buy their first home, that is one of the best feelings in the world. It's genuinely rewarding. But the process to get there, it is an absolute marathon of paperwork. I'm talking income proof, tax returns, property papers, legal checks, valuations, the list just goes on and on. And here's the fundamental problem, right? A home loan, done properly, can easily take 4 to 6 weeks from start to finish. But your sales target, that's for this month. So all through those weeks, the customer is calling you every single day, asking for an update. And every little delay, whether it's the legal team's fault or the valuation guy's fault, it doesn't matter. To the customer, it's your fault. That gap between the timeline and your target is where all the stress comes from. Okay, so after hearing all that, you're probably wondering, how does anyone survive this? How do you actually succeed and, not go crazy? This right here is the most important part of this whole thing. So listen up. Here's the secret. The people who truly thrive in this job, the ones who handle the pressure the best, they are not the most aggressive salespeople. Not by a long shot. They are the most trusted advisors. It's a total mindset shift. When a customer knows deep down that you will always put their interests first before your own target, they will come back to you for everything. They'll send their family to you. And let me tell you, one of those trusted relationships is worth 10, 20, 100 of those one-off forced sales. And once you make that shift in your head, once you stop just selling and start genuinely trying to help people, the job stops feeling like a constant pressure cooker. And it starts to feel like you have a real purpose. So if you're out there getting ready for a banking interview, here is what you need to take away from this. This isn't just a desk job, it's a relationship business. Your real goal is to match the right product to the right person. So when they ask you in that interview, why do you want to be a banker, don't just give them the standard answer about job security. Tell them you want to help people. Tell them you want to build trust and guide them in making smart financial choices. Trust me, that's the answer that will make them remember you. All right, now I've got a question for you. After hearing all of this, which one of these products makes you the most nervous to sell? And if you're already in banking, you know the one. Which product gives you the most headaches? Drop a comment below and let me know. I really do read every single one. This is your insider's guide to what banking is really like. So if you want more honest breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe.